Hello, all you Project Codex peoples out there. Let us get started with a little tutorial when it comes to lists. Lists are value types or data types that allow you to store objects, variables, values inside of brackets and allow you to store a whole lot of variables and values and brackets and stuff inside of a specific and individual unit. And I'm more of a practical type of person or more of a hands-on type of person, physiological, whatever that is. So let's just go ahead and get started on that. So let us first use create a list. Very basic comment. What I personally like to do when it comes to making variables is having an underscore in between two names. So it's either list1 or list1. Not just having L equals something, but actually writing out the word helps me. I think it's helpful, so that's the way we're going to be doing it. So list1, so the list that we create is simply a pair of brackets. And if we, at the very bottom here, print list1, let me move this up. There we go. We have right here our brackets has no value, it has no objects, it has no dictionary, it has nothing inside of it, so it printed nothing inside the brackets. So what we're going to do now is create a second list equals to another brackets, and we're going to put some values in it. 1, 2, 3, some integers. Now I'm going to print, I'm now going to update what we're going to print because there's a difference between list 1 and list 2. When we print list 2, what comes out is 1, 2, 3. Fantastic. And it's as easy as that. So what we're going to do is create a third list. This third list is going to equal some words. Let's put some words in here. Word. I wasn't kidding. Yes. No. Amazing. So now what I'd like to do is print out list 3. What pops out are the words, or the strings specifically. I put in the double apostrophes, but it spit out a single apostrophe. Both are acceptable, and there's some details as to which one would you prefer. That both are acceptable. You can, I don't really want to get into another tutorial on this, but you can use hats, and then put a little apostrophe right here. The apostrophe is under, or the double apostrophe takes precedence over the single apostrophe, so you can put a single apostrophe inside of a double, but you can't put a double inside of a single. It's weird like that. It's a little finicky. Anyways, let's get on to this next one. Next thing is we're going to create some very simple values called variable A is going to be 1, 2, 3. Variable B is going to be big words. It has to be big words, because I want it to be that way. And C is going to be a float of 7.298 or so. And we're now going to combine all three variables inside of a single list. So our fourth list is going to equal A, B, doing this wrong, creating the brackets for the list itself. We're going to put A first, B second, and C third. Now when we print 4, take a guess. Take a gander, or not a gander. It sounds a little silly. Take a guess as to what you think might pop out with list 4, with the fourth list. Come on. That was loud. Okay. So what pops out is a list with the three variables A, B, and C. 1, 2, and 3, big words, and 7.298. And if we simply change B and C, they change in the list as well. Oh, let's do it this way. A. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. It's as easy as pie, and I love my pie. Don't you get in the way of my pie, because I love pie. Well, there's different types of pie that I'm actually more... I could probably eat an entire pie without regret, but it depends on the pie. If it's a sweeter pie, if it's a chocolate pie, actually I think chocolate pie and a sweet pie are probably the only two types of pies there are. The only pies that need to exist, that's it. Anyway, speaking of pie, 3.14159265358 7 or something, that's as much as the pie I know. Anywho, let's move on to other bigger and better things when it comes to lists. I have a little reference tool, my little cheat sheet over here on my side. So what we have next is we're going to, we are going to do some methods, and these methods are specific to lists inside the Python programming language. And there's, I think, about 10 or so methods that are available to you. It seems as though 8 are the only ones that you really will be using, and 2 or 3 of them you'll probably be using them all the time when it comes to a list because of how easy it is to target a specific item inside of a list, and if whether or not you need to modify any list whatsoever. So the first one we're going to be deciphering is we're going to add things to a list. So let us now list methods. It's very important for me to to use comments to detail what activities I am doing. So in what am I doing? I like to bring this down because we're going to be using it quite often the entire way through this. List methods. We're going to create a variable called d, and d is going to equal str a. And str is a function that turns whatever variable that is inside of these in these parentheses into a string. Now a equals 1, 2, 3. So if we put 1, 2, 3 into a string, the numbers, the integers, it will pop out. Now, one of those things I'm actually kind of curious because it should be a string, but it should have those apostrophes to the right. Now let's do it a different way. Let's actually do B, see if that's actually what's different, because I don't know, doing this live, and it's like, oh no, I'm making an error and I don't know. Okay, I just wanted to make certain. It is a string, but it is not doing it the way that it at least normally does within the IDE that I'm using. Not the IDE, but Sublime Text 3. That's a little bit different. Anyways, and we're going to create a list. We're actually going to update list 4, because what we are going to do is remove. Wait, move? No, we're going to add. I'm sorry. We are going to add an element to the list. Add element to list. And the append function, append with parentheses, whatever is inside of the parentheses of append, we're going to add to list 4. So I'm going to put the variable d, and because I want to put string a, or I could just simply do it this way for simplicity's sake, d equals a. If we go back up here, a equals 1, 2, 3. So what we're going to bring down here is 1, 2, 3, adding 1, 2, 3 to list 4, and it's adding on the right hand side. So if we now list 4, at first it's 1, 2, 3, big words 7, 2, 9, 8, and at the very end 1, 2, 3. So A, B, C, and then finally D. Now let's move on to the next method. I'm going to probably do that way too often. So we are going to remove all the elements from the list. And this function, or this method to lists, specifically list 4, we're going to modify list 4 quite a bit. List4.clear. It's as simple as that. So if we remove all the elements to the list, what do you think will pop out? A blank brackets. That's it. We can't call anything. There's no values in there. There's no placement. Nothing. So since we have now a fresh list, we can now do whatever we want with it. And sometimes you want to not. Here's another way to doing that. So if we remove this, comment this out for one moment, we get these 4 elements inside list 4. And if I simply call list 4 to equal an empty brackets, we get the exact same thing as the method .clear. Now, multiple methods, multiple options, multiple paths to achieve the end result, the same result. Programming is a wide open utensil for you to, massive canvas for you to paint Just need to know some of the functions and how to do it. So let us move on. I'm going to put back clear, and I'm going to comment out that. Moving down, we can get rid of that. Nah, let's keep it for the same function. For this next one, return the number of elements. Wait a second. Excuse me, I'm sorry. So I'm going to do another variable, and what we're going to do here, we are going to return, or another method, I apologize, return the number of elements with the, using my little cheat sheet here, I love cheat sheets, with the specified value. And with the specified value, we are going to create a variable called x equals list4. We're going to call from the list4 that we have, which as of right now has nothing. We're going to call dot count 1, 2, 3. So this method is going to count how many variables have the value 1, 2, 3 inside of list 4, and it's going to spit out a number. Because list 4 is already clear, we have nothing in it. What do you think will pop out? Nothing! Oh, wait, 1 second. Let's do it this way. 0, print x. Because our list is empty, there is nothing for it to count, so there's nothing to add to the score, so it is a big whopping 0. Well, I guess that would be a number 2. Hi-yo! So let us move on to the next one. So if we add to list 4, because it is currently empty, let's add some stuff to it. Equals, for this method, we're going to do heads or tails counter. And let's just say that we flipped a coin 10, 20 times, and a 1 is heads, a 2 is tails. So let's put right here, 1 equals heads, 2 equals tails. And then inside here, we're going to go 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, 1. And however many that is, one method that I haven't taken into account that I think is really good is you don't have to count up each one of these manually. Even if we just like copied and paste, copy, paste, look at how many of those you would have to count manually to get around this, to know how many items or how many variables or how many objects are inside of a list. You don't have to count it manually. A method that you can use is called len, and len with parentheses. Well, let's just do it right here. Len with parentheses is short for length. So whatever the length of whatever item you put inside of it, if I put x, what's going to pop out? If I let's cut this, put it in here. I could have done that let's reverse that. We could have done that so much easier. Delete this and simply put the x variable in here. Stop it. There we go. So if we come back up here, x is equal to list4.count 1, 2, 3. Well, if even with list 4 being updated right here, well, actually, let me rephrase that. List x equals list 4, which up here, list 4 has been cleared. We haven't updated x to the new filled list 4. Since there's nothing in list 4, x will equal 0. So if we do the length of x, ooh, that's interesting. Object of type integer has no length. So specifically, I thought this would actually work. I was wrong on that. So specifically when it comes to lists, the amount of elements that you have inside of that list, length is only applicable to that data type. I think it's only data types that you can use the method length. So that was bunk. That was wrong. So we're going to delete it and remove that. So length. We're going to put in list 4, and I want to figure out how many elements are inside of list 4 by simply using the method length, printing it out. For me, I think this is a really good habit, and I would highly implore you to practice this as well. Anytime that I am writing code, and I think always save as often as you can. So before I do control build when it comes to Sublime Text 3, I always click Control S to save and then Control B. That way, regardless of whatever it is, my habits have already saved me. If something happens, if there's a power outage, I've had a thunderstorm once, and it didn't wipe everything off. Sublime Text does save a lot of files in short-term memory, and it's phenomenal that way. But hey, you know what? Better safe than sorry. So always save as often as it possibly can, and then I'd highly recommend it to do that before you build the program. So how many elements we have in list 4 is 24. So over here, we don't necessarily have to write this down, but for simplicity, I'm just going to go ahead and do that. 24 elements inside list 4. Boop, boop. Oh, there we go. I was typing that wrong. Okay, so let's move on to the next thing of dot count. Oh, no, yeah, I was like, we already did count, but I want to do it one more time. Now that we've created a list of heads and tails, we flipped it 24 times, what I would like to do is count how many times list 4 dot count has come up. Let's do it this way. X equals list 4 dot count the number 1. And because if we come up here, 1 equals heads, I want to see how many times 1 came up inside of this list. Even if we just add one more here, one more element, there's actually 25 elements, and we are now going to print out X, the variable. So there are 13 out of 25. If we do a very simple formula of 13 divided by 25, we get a 52%. Actually, let's make this a bit more specific. This times 100. I'm doing a little fancy stuff with the print function. It's so fancy. There we go. 52%. Wow, look at that. So amazing. I'm so smart. I have the smarts inside of me. I'm trying to get it out. Quick, call the doctor. Okay, so that was enough with count. Let's move on to the next next method. Man, I'm getting kind of thirsty here. It's good, squishy. From Simpsons, the good Simpsons. I will fight on that hill that the old Simpsons, I think before season 16, I think was pretty darn freaking good. Season 12, I think was prime. I think anything in its median TV series. Anyways, moving on. So now we're going to be working on a different method called extend, and we're going to add the elements of a list or any iterable to the end of the current list. That's a bunch of words, but what does it mean? If we use our little cheat sheet, which I love using cheat sheets are great. They're fantastic. I highly suggest you use yours as well. It's called the internet. Yep, that's it. I was actually trying to build up to a joke, but nope, that's it. It's just the internet. Use the internet. Always use the internet. The internet's amazing. It's always amazing. Okay, so we're going to, since we've already moved well past list 1, 2, and 3, let's go ahead and just reset them and start over again. So list 1. Oh, okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. I actually am getting ahead of myself. List 1 has nothing in it. It is a blank list. It has 2 brackets, nothing in it, so it's blank. So what we're going to do with this blank list is extend, and we're going to add list 2 to list 1. Since list 2 has 1, 2, and 3, what do you think will come out of in list 1? Let's check. List 1, what pops out? It is 1, 2, and 3. Because with the extend method, we are adding the elements inside of list 2 to list 1. We're not adding a new list. We're not adding a whole list, just the elements inside of it. Oh, this is even misspelled. Misspelled it again. Elements. Okay. Oh, now the second thing that we're going to be doing is the same thing. We have already added list 2. What I would like to do is add it again. So list 1, we're going to extend list 1 again with adding list 2 again. Print list 1 as well, and what do you think will happen? Because the extend method only adds the elements, not the list itself with the new brackets, we should get 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Print, there we go. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Fantastic. I love how when I do something the first time, 30 minutes later, it happens the same way. Ah, man, it's amazing. It's like math or something. Who knew? So what I would like to work on now are operators. Danger, Mr. Robinson, danger. We are first going with lists. First, we're going to reset list 1. We're going to reset it down to just like when it came to clear. We can also equal it to a blank set of brackets to remove all the elements inside of it. So we're going to do list 1 equals, there we go, it equals a blank list. With inside this list, what I would like to do, and you don't necessarily have to use a pair of empty brackets, you could just as easily reset the variable to a new type. Equals, not list type, but just already reset the variables, reset the value of this, reset the values of this variable. Yeah, that's correct. I'm trying to figure out what is what. As we did up here is list 1, we're going to add the elements of list 2, and then we did that again. We got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. If we use operators with list 1 and add list 2 and list 2 together, we should get 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3. That's it. So let's print what list 1 is. There we go. And we're not counting this. We could even comment that out. What we're doing right here is emptying out list 1, and then what we're going to be adding to it, since there's nothing in it, is list 2, and then list 2 again. And then if we build it again, there we go. We still get 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm just going to go ahead and uncomment those out. Woo, getting a little hot, putting off my beanie. Beanie. I got that beanie. It's actually it's ripping up the very top. It's unfortunate. I got it from Zugspitz in Germany. So it's like, oh, that sounds fancy. It's the only thing that I remember from that place. Really, not really. It's just, it was a big deal for me to get that beanie because I was like, I don't really care about being here. I was not in the right place in my mind. That's personal issues. That's a chapter in my life. It's like I'm talking to a therapist or something. Anyways, let's move on to the next thing. So we are now going to do the next thing, which is return the index of the first element with what, you might ask? With the specified value. Boop. We're going to be creating another variable called A. We're going to call list 1, and then with the method index, we are going to do, and this is where it gets a little tricky for anyone who is a new programmer specifically, because we're going to be talking about positions with base 0 regardless of value. And I did set this up a little bit to kind of confuse you, so if you are confused, if it gets overwhelming, do not worry. This happens to the best of us. Sometimes mistakes happen, thinking about one thing versus another, switching one value with another. It's okay. If you get confused, welcome to the club. We all get confused from time to time, so don't stress about it whatsoever. Just listen to it over again, try to work it out on with yourself. Try to ask and look online for other resources and tools and options, and because there's many tutorials you can refer to. So we are creating this new variable called a, and with list1 we are going to call, with the method index, we're going to call the value 1. And because the method index is going to return to us the position, return the index, and index is the position inside of a list, it is going to refer to us position base, or the base 0 with programming. And within programming, I'm just going to copy and paste this as a reference tool. That within programming, or specifically a list, we will have 0 as the first element. And if we remember from, if we have down here, list 1 has values 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. List, the first element is base 0, or it's not base 0, it's index 0. First value, index 0 is 1. Index 1, value 2. Kind of confusing. Follow along with me. We're going to go with the next index, because in our when counting positions or the index of a list, we go starting with 0. So if we want the third item, the third index, the third position inside of our element, we start with 0, not 1. So we start with 0, 1, 2. And our this position 2, index 2. Let's do this one more time. So let's just do humans. What we do is we are going to... There we go. Hopefully this helps. Hopefully it helps me too, trying to explain it. We humans normally and typically start with the base 1. Not base 0, base 1. We always start our counting with 1. After we get to number 10, we go back to number 1. So if we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, our next initial value in the singles digit will be a 1, with the tens column being a 1 as well, so 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and so on. With position, or specifically, let me rephrase this to index inside of a list, what we're doing is we're calling in programming the position in a list. Index is the name of that. So index 1 will call the second value, the second position. Index 5 will call the 6th position in the list, which value is 3. Hopefully this is making a little bit more sense. Now I'm going to start all the way over with all the information boggling up in the mind. Let's try to make this as clean and cut as possible. So with a, the variable that we just created, list 1, we are going to call index 1. Within programming, base 0, index starts with 0. Index 1 is the second, what we call the second element, and that value is number 2. So what we will get out of this, if we print a, should be the number 2. Well, wait, let me phrase that. 0. What? Wait a second. Oh! Okay, disregard the last 2 sentences that I just said. Okay, what I meant to say there is that everything that I said without printing a was correct. So I'm going to go through this one more time. It's like, well, this is getting kind of confusing. Hey, don't worry. We're in the same boat together. We're gonna head for the island, and we're going to set up camp and build a phenomenal fort and we're going to build pillow forts and have ice cream sundaes. It's going to be delicious and fantastic. Don't you worry your patootie. Don't worry your patootie off. Variable A is calling index 1. With this method specifically, this is not the index, but instead the value that we're calling that is going to be the first element in the list. because 1 inside of list 1 is specifically the right here. This is the first element that shows up with the value 1. It is the first element. It's the first element. It's the first index, and first index is 0, so it's calling index 0. Hopefully that made sense. that was a big one. But don't worry, there's other ways around this, and hopefully we get that to a different time. But it is worth noting that you can do this with a list inside of programming, specifically Python. So if that was confusing, don't worry. There's, I'm certain, an easier way that can be explained as to the actions that just happened. But we will move on to the next thing, and don't worry, we will always, if you don't know something, that's a good thing, because it's an opportunity for us to learn, and learning is half the battle. G.I. Joe. Man, how old is that reference? It's probably so old. That's old. I don't know. It's probably like in the 70s, 60s. 80s. Not too certain. Anywho, so what we're going to do now is use the method insert. And insert, and I'm going to put right here, insert, boop, is we're going to, it adds an element at a specified position. Excuse me, I'm sorry for that. Usually I'm much louder. So what we're going to do with list 1, because list 1 still has the values 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 in all 6 positions. So with list 1, what we are going to do is add to it. We are going to insert a few things. So we're going to insert, to add on to what we were mentioning before, I'm going to add in the, I want to make certain here. Yeah, I'm just making certain that I'm doing this correctly. So when I explain it, it'll be like, oh, that makes sense. Okay. Maybe. Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and say yes, we are going to be doing it correctly, hopefully. So we're going to add, I think, element. Okay, I'm going to just see how this works. Let's add 1,000. Okay, so print list 1. Good. Okay, so this helps. I think this is what happens. So within list 1 with the insert method, and up here this is the value, but with and that's with index. That right here is the value. But in the insert method, we're also adding something before we do a value. And that is the index number. The index number 3, if we refer back up here, we go 0, 1, 2, 3. 3 is the 4th position. This 4th position is going to be, value is going to be added to the 4th position in the index. Thus, we get the output as 1, 2, 3, 1,000, 1, 2, 3. So in the middle, the 4th position is the value 1,000. Okay, I knew I was going somewhere with that. So, oh man, yeah, I was getting so worried. Like, man, I had this planned. I knew this is where I was going. What does this mean? What did this mean? What can this mean? What does this mean? From what's that movie I'm thinking of? Nightmare Before Christmas. A Nightmare Before Christmas. And all through the house, the penguins were sleeping and chewing on a mouse. Squeak, squeaker, squeak, squeaking. The little guy peeps, and little Bo Peep has a treat for the sheet. I don't know. It's getting kind of creepy and weird, so I'm just going to move on. Okay. So that's what the method insert does. With list 2, let us create let's reset list 2, and then we don't have to do this, but I'm doing it as a redundancy, just to show my work. So what we're going to do is reset list 2, and then what we're going to do after that is set it to a few things. We're going to use, let's just go with Apple, all capital letters, because capital letters are the best. Literally, nothing can out-capitalize a capitalized letter. Or can there? We're going to do banana. And also the third one, we're going to just put the name Charlie. So we have a list of 3 elements, and each one is a string: apple, banana, and Charlie. So what we're going to be doing with the method insert with list 2, we're going to insert inside of list 2 in the second position, because it first starts with 0. 0 is the first position, 1 is the second position, 3 is the 2 is the third position, 4th is the third position, and so on. We're going to add word salad. Salad. Wait, oh, there we go. Oh, there we go. We're going to add word salad. We could probably just go with salad. No, I like salad. We will go with salad. And now we're going to, instead of printing out 1, we're going to print out list 2. So building that in the second position, because this is calling the index, since programming is base 0, 0 is the first, 1 is the second, 2 is the third, and so on. This is going to be the second element in the list, 1, 2, and it's going to print out, it's going to insert inside of that list whatever value that we put right here. We could also put this, let's change this to the 63 point bunch of numbers. So we put the float number 63.89 inside of the second element in the list, or base 1, or index 1. Hopefully that makes more sense. But what I like to do is just do word salad. Word salad. No, I want to be happy about this. So let's get it all crazy. Word salad with 3Ds. Look at that. Look at how crazy we are getting. Fantastic. Okay, so now we're going to be doing one of the most popular methods that is going to be called inside of a list, or with a list. Pop. What does pop do? In all honesty, I have no idea why they called it that, because to me that would be short for population, but I really do think pop really means like you're popping it out of existence. Just pop, boop, pop, gone. So with pop, we are going to remove the element at the specified position. Let me see if just other information. Yep, that's it. Gotta add the period. Gotta be syntactically correct with this. So we're going to do list 2, and we're going to remove element. Ooh. What I would like to do is remove element 2. But let's first remove this, and then let's print this again, so at the bottom we can see that that list 2 has all 4 strings to it, rather than that float number. So what I'm doing right here is list.to pop is removal of the element in index 0. And index 0 is the first element, apple. So when we print out list 2, we get the list without apple. And all the other elements are moved over to the left-hand side, 1. So in the first position, if we were to do this again, list2.pop, and remove again the first value, the first element, inside of list 2, we get, oh, I even did this wrong. Excuse me. Print list 2, we get word salad is now gone. We are left with banana and Charlie. And it's as simple as that. And sometimes you want to remove something from the list if it is maybe the lowest. If we have some if-then statements, you could remove it from let's do it this way. That's actually going to be a long example, but I'm just going to give you an idea of what you can do. Let's just say that we are trying to find the top 10 of values inside of a gigantic file. Maybe you have thousands upon thousands of data entries, and you're just trying to find the most, we could even do it this way with a more real world example that's just at the top of my head, because usually I like to be a little bit more planned ahead, but I don't even think that helps with me trying to stay on track anyways. Within the gaming world, when it comes to business, you do want to know who is purchasing your products more compared to anybody else. So what you would like to do when it comes to business is seek out those who are purchasing your products more often than others. So you having their user, having their profile, having their purchase history. You want to have as much detail as possible. But the thing is that you want to have next to each user, each customer, you want to have a certain amount of money that they've spent, and more importantly, how often they have spent money with you. If one person's been spent $100 over 1 year versus one person who spent $1,000 in the last week, you might want to take a more precedence. You might want to focus more on the person who spent $1,000 with you and see what care you can do and what you could focus with them on. So if you have a top 10 list of those, of maybe you only have 2 people in your company and you're trying to figure out how you can actually provide more value to the top people who are actually purchasing your products. It's like people who subscribe to a YouTube channel but actually engage with the person by donating to their PayPal, donating to them via Patreon or Subscribestar, giving likes, watching their content, giving them watch time, engaging in the comment section. Those are more important people than those who are just subscribed to a channel and then forget about them moving on to the other things. Because as a content creator, you always want to focus on those who are first that are engaging with you, and then you just give as much as you can to them. But you do need to know who's more engaged, who's giving you more, and you need to know who to be focusing on first, who's going to be in your top tier list. And if you have a top 10 out of the maybe tens of thousands of people that are subscribed to you, you need to focus on those top 10 people, because those are the people that are giving you the most amount of attention, more importantly, the most amount of money. And if you can cater to their needs and cater to what they desire, cater to what they are expecting from you, then they have a higher likelihood of giving you more money. It's as simple as that. Sounds greedy, but guess what? It's actually kind of selfless at the same time. And so when you have a top 10 list, if one person stops doing business with you and they're just doing their own thing, which they're allowed to, if there's another person who winds up in the top 10 list, you want to find a way to categorize who is in that top 10 list. They're not just a number. They actually have a name. It's just helps us categorize who these people are, and it helps us organize and how to do business better. With all that being said, let's move on to the next thing, because that was kind of a big example with not really, I like ideas. I like talking. That's when it comes to audio. So that's one thing that I'm trying to get used to, is being able to make mistakes while typing, because I'm kind of a perfectionist, so it sort of goes counterintuitive to being a programmer. And when it comes to being a programmer, it's like, what stage do you call yourself a programmer? A beginner, an intermediate, an advanced, somebody who stops using labels, somebody who's an actual professional in the business, working on a specific corporation gig. When do you call yourself that? That's just me brainstorming. Let's move on. Print list 2. List 2, we shall... Oh, no. Okay. So we're moving on to the next method. And this method, what we are going to be doing, is we're going to... what was this? Gotcha. Reverse. We're going to play the Uno card reverse. We're going to reverse the order of the list. So here, list 2 specifically has only 2 elements, banana and Charlie. So within list 2, not equals, I would like to only reverse it. It's as simple as that. When we reverse list 2, what do you think will pop out? 3, 2, 1. The opposite. It's as simple as that. And there may be some methods as to why you want to do this. Is it in... It really is just dependent upon what you're trying to do. But if you have any need to reverse any size of list, all it is just play the Uno card reverse and you are golden. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do a very fun thing and kind of do the opposite of what we just did. How can we do that, you might be asking? Oh, I know you rapscallion, whatever that is. Please don't Google that. I don't know what's going to pop up. So list2 is going to be dot sort. What we're going to do with this method of sort is that it's going to organize the list you have and all the elements inside that list. So just without giving any more details other than that, what do you think is going to come out with list number 2? Or with our list 2, what do you think is going to happen with the elements? Give me 3 seconds. It's going to alphabetize. It's going to put them in a specific order, and that's what's happening here. And to add on to that of what we're doing here is I would like to, after we have sorted the list into alphabetical, what I would like to do from earlier is actually add elements to our list. So we're going to do list2 using an operator, because we'll actually do a little bit more with, I think we already did an operator? Well, okay, now here's another operator. We are going to add, and for anybody out there, of what the heck is a plus equals, or what is a minus equals, wait, what am I doing? Minus equals, or a times equals, or a divide equals. I think divide equals works. Let's do one simple thing to showcase what I mean. List2 plus equals list2 plus 1. The exact same thing right here. Let's remove all those operators. Is we're simply combining and removing the redundancy of putting our list here on the right-hand side. So we're going to add to list 1. That's it. It sums it up, it makes it a little bit shorthand, it speeds it up, and guess what? Typing that many lines of code, not fun. So the less you can type, the better. So if you can write shorthand, if there's an easier way for you to do something, always go with the easy pass. You don't get bonus credit for doing something overtly complicated in programming. Let me tell you, the easier it is, the simpler it is, go with it. Roll with it. It's okay to cheat. Again, it's okay to have a cheat sheet. Why? Because you're focused primarily on one objective, which is creating the program. If you can do that, fantastic. And if you pull any code from other people, I highly recommend that you give them credit where credit is due. That's all I would like add to that, and let's move on. So what I'd like to do with list2, since it has the values, the elements, banana, and Charlie, we're going to add the elements 1, 5, 3, or 2, 3, 7, 6, 9, 8, 0, whatever. Just a bunch of integers. And we're going to add that to the list. What do you think will pop out? Give you 3 seconds. Boop. That's it. We're going to, it only adds the elements to that list. So inside that one big list, we have all these elements inside of it. And because 1, 5, 2, 3, 7, 6, 9, 8, 0 are out of order, what do you think will happen if we now sort the new list? List2.sort. It alphabetized banana and Charlie. What do you think will happen here? Print. An error? Why? Well, what happens is that it's pulling all the elements inside this list, and it's recognizing that integers, all these integers right here, and the strings Charlie and banana are dissimilar, so it can't organize them in a cohesive manner. So what needs to happen is we need to remove list2.pop because banana and Charlie were the first 2 elements. Let us remove the first 2 elements. List2.pop. We're removing the first 2 elements. Removing first 2 elements. And then guess what happens? Because we removed the first 2 elements, all that's remaining inside of list2 now are the variables, or are all the values that are integers. So we can now sort them. So when we press B, which is going, oh. Okay, so what is happening here is that I cannot continue because the error because we're going from top to bottom, left to right, top to bottom, it's not able to do this error that we came across. So we're just simply going to remove it and press, and we're going to build it. So we just mentioned earlier, all that is inside the list are integers. Now let us do list2 dot sort build 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, we didn't add 4. I knew I was missing a number. Let's add number 4 out here. 4. Save, build. Guess what? We now have it. Because I added this out of order integer element inside of this list, and we're removing the first 2 elements, which were banana, nana, and Charlie. When we did sort, this 4 was put in its place in this 5th column, or this 5th position, 5th index 5. Fantastic. We are nearly done after 50 minutes. That's fantastic. That is fantastic. So what we're going to do now is... Oh, I just wanted to mention a few more things after this, but look at all the things that we've done. In all honesty, this is actually a pretty good amount. If you were just going to take this as is, I highly recommend, if there's anything that you didn't know about this, please watch this video again. What I would like to do is comment, ask some questions. I'd like to hear from you if you have any concerns. Is there something that needs to be covered? Is there specific questions about programming that you need to know? It doesn't matter of whether or not I know the information. There may be somebody out there that does know the information. And more importantly than that, maybe somebody out there is too afraid to say something because maybe they fear the fear of being judged. Like, it might be so basic of a question, I might get laughed at. Really, I laugh at myself all the time of the things I don't know. Earlier, I created a program that's very simple. Like, it's just a little color generator. But I accidentally made something so mesmerizing, it was beautiful. But I didn't mean to do that. And then there was another time, like doing that, I run into elements, I run into errors all the time. So from what I would like you to do is, if you have any questions, sometimes, you know, the old adage of there isn't such a thing as a bad question. It actually holds true to the majority of questions asked. As long as you're intentful, as long as you're being serious about the question, it doesn't really matter. If you're trying to seek out more information, you're trying to get a greater understanding of something, there might be somebody in the comment section that is able to get to you like that. Maybe there's 2 or 3 people that might be having different ways of looking at the problem that you have, and maybe being able to divert you to some resource that might be available online that you'd be like, oh my gosh, I didn't know this resource existed. Get out there. If you have any questions, please ask. That's the best way for anybody, not just you, but for anybody, people, even including people at the top. One of the reasons why the people at the top are at the top is because they're constantly asking questions. They're constantly asking for help. If they don't know something, ask. Boom. It's as simple as that. So if any of these things went over your head, mention in the comment section. If you liked any more pointers, if there's something that I didn't cover here, please post that down below as well, because maybe in a different tutorial, a different date could be added, maybe in a different, not even a tutorial, but a different mentioning any all that great stuff. But for right now, what I would like to do is just mention two big things here that you will see often in most of the codes and most of the programs that you will create, especially the beginner and intermediate programs that you create. You'll definitely see this in an advanced, but this is something that when you pick it up initially, you'll realize how often you may be using it because of how quickly it is to set up and how quickly and how important it is to have such a well-versed knowledge in these 2 specific things. So we're going to do other list options, and there's no other way to say it other than that. I'm sorry. That's usually, you have to say it with a very weird voice. Yeah, that's it. So what we're going to do now is called for loops. Oh, I've never heard those before. So we're going to initially create a list1. We're going to set this, the variable, since we already did it up here, what we're doing is setting list1 to an empty list. We're now going to create a for loop with the element I in range 10. Range, so anybody out here who doesn't know, I is going to be the counter that's going to start from 0 and add up to 9. Since programming, we start with base 0. I is a simple basic variable that's only going to be used for counting. Since we're going to arrange 10, we're going to do 10 elements. And to showcase what I mean by that is we're going to, with the list, use the append method. We're going to put I, the variable which has the value of the counter, in append. We're going to add it to the list, and we're going to showcase what is happening with the counter. List 1, we need to print. Boom, right there. Oh, I didn't even intend that. Let's go ahead and comment that out so we don't see this print from all these other things that we were doing. And with only this one, we see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 10 elements. The value, base value is, or base index 0. The first position, the first element goes into index 0. This variable right here always starts with 0. So anytime that you're trying to do something with counting, just keep that in mind. If you're trying to add something to another, it may not be exactly what you want. So again, test around, trial and error. Great possible thing for you to do. Highly recommend it. It's when in doubt, I don't know. Look it up. So what I'm going to do is a called list of lists, which comes out with lol. I'm happy about that. That's all that matters. Uh-oh, what's happening? Why is it the way that it is? You know what? Fine, we'll do it this way. List of, oh, that's why. The reason this was here, again, the sum function inside of Python as to how and why this works the way that it does, but I forgot to close that parentheses. So, doing a variable LOL. I think that was a command, but we did it. Is not just having a list, but a list of lists. So we're going to have 3 lists inside of here, and we're going to start with 1, 2, 3. We're going to go A, B. Oh, come on. I can do this. I believes in me. In me's. And this next one, we're going to go 4.4.4, 5.5, 6.6. In this list of lists, what happens when we print it out, we're going to get 3 specific lists. And let's go ahead and comment this out because we no longer need it. Printing it again, we have list 1, list 2, and list 3. Now, here is the interesting part. And this is, again, the basics. This is just a very basic action that we're going to take. There's many more things that you can do with list of lists. A great thing inside of programming that when you're starting machine learning is learning how to manipulate matrices, which is a list of lists, a 3x3, 10x10, 100x100. You'll start learning how to do a little more of more complicated things, and which are very necessary when it comes to some of those calculations. But for right now, we're just going to learn a basic thing of how to manipulate a list of lists and the principle of it. Again, we're going to not append. Wait, do I want to do that? What is it that I want to do? Who is you? I am going to, append. Wait, no, append? No, I was thinking pop. It's like, wait, which method am I thinking of? I'm going to remove the first element inside of list of lists, or lol. So if the first element, base 0, what do you think is going to happen? If we now print out LOL, list of lists, what do you think will happen? The first element was actually this entire list. So we removed the first list, which is the first element, inside of this. And what you can do more specifically later on, again, wrapping it all up, is that there's a lot of methods on how you can remove this first element inside of this first list, or remove the second element inside of the second list, or removing the third value of the first list, so on and so forth. You can manipulate it however you need, depending on the circumstances of whatever it is whatever action is required of your program, going on and on and on. There's so many things to take into account, but the baseline is just to practice. Be curious, go out there, learn. Hope this little tutorial series helped. I don't know if this is a series, just one video. But again, very basic things that you can do, and there's many ways in which you can apply them to create massive conglomerates of code, and more importantly, functional code. You don't need to have a lot of code to make a functional program, but you need to understand a lot. So go ahead and just get started. That's it. Thank you very much for being a part of this. Please post your comments, questions, and concerns right down below. Please smash that like and subscribe button because that would greatly help this channel out. And most importantly, you have a phenomenal day. Yeah, I like that. We'll probably modify that ending, but I like that. Thank you very much for being a part of this, and I'll see you next time. Beep.